Hey there friends on YouTube, it's the JTL. I am back again, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that I've really wanted to check out ever since the new Platinum wireless gaming headphones from Sony came out. I did a couple of videos on the Platinums already. First was a first impressions and kind of a little bit of comparison against the Astro A50s, which I also have. And then the next one was my full review. There's been a lot of controversy going on about the Platinum. Is it any good? Is it broken? Is there something wrong with it? Does it just suck? A lot of people are, and is it good? Some people seem to like it. So I wanted to do a little comparison between all of the headsets that Sony has put out, wireless headsets that is. I'm not counting the silver headset that was wired. All three of the wireless headsets that Sony has put out in the past few years for the PS3/PS4. So that means I've got the newest, the Platinum, then I've got the last ones, the Gold. And finally, thanks to my friend Mike, who's been a supporter of the channel for a long time, he sent me the Grand Theft Auto 5 edition of the Pulse Elites to check out as well. And thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it. These things are very cool. So I figured I'd just sort of roll the headsets over the course of an hour or two. So here's how I did what I did. The first thing that I did, started on PS4. I have a 4-hole USB dongle. So I put all three of the dongles in there so I could just shut one down and start one up. And I opened up Battlefield 4. Now, you may disagree with me, but I think that the music that goes on as Battlefield 4 is on the load screen sounds pretty darn good, and it gives a good sense of like dynamics. It has lows, it has highs, it has all the stuff that you're looking for. So I figured I would just sit there and roll the headsets one after the other while I was listening to just that music, and that would help me get an idea of how these things might fare over and above any kind of surround sound magic that they might be doing. And so I did that. I went first from, newest to oldest and back, and then I went, cheapest to most expensive and back, and then I just kind of grabbed them at random and I listened. I gave myself, maybe 16 bars, 32 bars, 30 seconds or so with each headset, so that at first I didn't want to get too used to one headset versus the other, so I could stay sort of objective. But then I gave myself a little bit more time with each one so that I could get a sense of what I was hearing from each headset. Now, what I did was I put the Shooter preset on every one of the headsets. They're all in the companion app that you can get on your PS4. I loaded the Shooter, and I just went with that as what I was going to use to test as a baseline. So, who won? Which headset won? Was it, Gold, Platinum, Pulse Elite? In that portion of the test, the Pulse Elites won. They have the best dynamic range in terms of, just being able to hear different frequencies and hear at loud and soft volume. So as the music rose and fell, it was a very pleasant experience. There wasn't any sort of... It allowed the transients to come through. This had a nice reproduction of those transients in comparison to the others. It sounded like real music. It sounded like you were listening to a pair of headphones that you could very easily be satisfied with as music listening headphones. The Gold came in second on that. They were a little flatter. There wasn't as much low, not as much high. The mids were kind of there, so that didn't have as much body to it. If you understand what I'm talking about, they were still sounding good, but in comparison to the Pulse Elites, which had a nice full bass and a little sparkle on the top end, these guys didn't quite have that. Now, the Platinums came in third. They sounded, where these sounded flat, these sounded thin and a little honky. If you know what I mean, just kind of like, if you know the sound of the teacher on the Charlie Brown cartoons, that's kind of what I was getting with these in comparison to the other two. So these came in third. unfortunately. I spent a good half hour, 45 minutes rolling from one headset to the other, just getting a sense of what sounded better. Playing a first-person shooter with the kind of sound design like Battlefield 1 has is really one of the best tests for in-game sound as well. So let me tell you how I did the tests for the Battlefield 1 portion of the test. Yeah. So basically, here's what I did. Every time I died, I got into a brand new round, and every time I died, I switched headsets. So I was sometimes I'd die pretty quickly, sometimes I'd run around for a little while. So it gave me a nice balance of hearing what was going on and what and getting used to the headsets. So I did that, and I wasn't just looking at sound, I was looking at comfort and all those kinds of things. So let's start with comfort. The golds were the most comfortable. These ear pads are very, very soft and very cushy and very nice. I really do like them, and they're wide enough in here that my whole ear is accepted into the hole. And while I can feel the back of the ear pad or the ear cup touching, I am not bothered by it at all. And like I said, these are very soft, and this nice wide band that they've got actually does a fantastic job of distributing the weight, and this is very, very cushy. And I think they actually have changed this material since I first used them, because I think it used to be some kind of rubberish thing, and now it's more like a foam without any sort of tacky rubber feeling to it. If you can help me out, remind me whether or not that was the case back when they first came out, because I haven't had a set for a couple of years. So they were definitely the most comfortable. Next up was the Pulse Elites, and the Pulse Elites, they're very comfortable, but the pads are not as soft. Not by much, but they're not as soft as the golds. And then the holes inside of the ear cup are not quite as big, so it felt a little bit more claustrophobic. Now, I generally don't like big ear cups as opposed to small or whatever. I don't like on-ear headphones, but these guys felt pretty good. And the only downside, I know I've used Pulse Elites in the past, and they, after a while, they would hurt the top of my head. And that is a problem here. If you can see, they've got these two thin bands, and there's not much padding there at all. So when I had Pulse Elites before, I would put them on my head, I'd be playing a game, and after a while, it would really start to hurt. So that's sort of a downside to the Pulse Elites as well in terms of comfort. These guys, I mean, honestly, they're not super far away from the others, but these pads don't feel like memory foam, or they're definitely not as soft as these, and they don't have that memory foamish type feel. This foam feels more like a 70s couch. It's a little too firm for my comfort, and this band, I know a lot of people have been having problems with this band. I haven't really, but it's definitely not as comfortable as this band. Getting onto the sound of everything, I got some notes here, so if I'm not looking at the camera, please forgive me, because I'm just looking at my notes. I want to know what it is that I need to say. Okay, so who won? I guess I might as well just tell you. The Pulse Elites definitely won. Again, just like in the music listening test, they were clear, they were crisp on the upper end, not shrill at all. The mids were full enough, but they weren't. See, what happens when certain frequencies in the mid-range and the lower mid-range get bumped, they get honky, like I was describing before. And I found that the Pulse Elites were really, really immersive. I felt like it was easy for me to feel like I was right inside the game, and that was particularly, again, I went on and off with the bass impact, but even with the bass impact on like around halfway, it really gave you a sense that you were experiencing the game. Just that vibration on your head, explosion goes off and vibration, and you're like, whoa. It was really pretty nice, and I do like it, and it is kind of a drag that that Sony has decided that that's not a thing they're going to do anymore. Maybe they've got, the titanium coming out, and I don't know. That seems like the only place they can go from here. They've gone gold, silver, platinum, titanium, maybe. I don't know. So, the Pulse Elites, overall, these guys are the best. They sound the best. They feel... They're in second place on the feel. And in-game, surround sound, all that other stuff, they just can't be beat by the other two. Now, in a close second here, the gold. The gold sound, as I said with music, again, was a little less tight, a little less well-defined from one frequency level to the next. Not as crisp as the Pulse, but they were full throughout. Again, it's sort of a similar thing to when we were listening to music. They were still really immersive. I felt like I could hear more noise leakage from the room around me than I could with the Pulse Elites, but that might come down to just the overall, it's not a real clampy feel here. They definitely feel like they're going to stay on your head, but they don't really grab you. That leaves the Platinums. And this is where it's really disappointing. Everybody had high hopes for these Platinum headsets coming out. We waited for them for months after their original launch date. They didn't come out. Finally, they came out, and there's something wrong with them. I don't think it's just me, because I've heard it from other people who are having the same kinds of problems. It got to the point, as I was going through headsets, that I really wasn't looking forward to putting the Platinums back on. The explosions in the game, the best thing I can think of to describe them was like an explosion would occur, and it would sound like you take two aluminum trash can lids and smack them together. Pang, pang. It wasn't realistic. It didn't sound good. Everything in it was hollow. When I initially put them on and I wasn't comparing them to anything else, when I first took them out of the box, I thought that there was really good sound separation. But after comparing them to these other two headsets, I realized that it's just like a hollowness. The sound field is just really spread out. There's not anything that makes it full and feeling good the way that the other guys did. So, incredibly disappointing. The overall thinness that they had going on in comparison to the other two is really a shame. And I mean, you can find these for like $70 now. And these guys are $160. And it's telling to me that Sony discounted them on launch day. As the first day they were available on Amazon, they were like $20 off. That's pretty telling to me. And they've been on sale several times since then. So the Platinums are just not good. And it's really too bad. Because here you got these. And if you had these and you were looking for an upgrade, it didn't happen. These are still better than the Platinums in almost every way. I like these better than the Platinums. And I wasn't sure if I would, because I hadn't had these for a while. But I spent 2 hours rolling back and forth between all the different headsets. And these guys beat the Platinums. These guys beat them all. And again, are there better headsets out there? Are there better ways to get game sound? Sure, but I'm just talking about the Sony offerings for the PS3, PS4. These guys are the best. And the drag of it is, I don't think they're available in stores all that much anymore. They are available. You can find them online. But I haven't seen them in my local Best Buy for a couple of years. If you let me know if you know differently, but I haven't seen these for a while. And then they have that thing that always happens with them where this is like the weakest point, and you got this, and they do have some clamping force to them, so a lot of people break right here at this point. Now I've found if you adjust them here, instead of pulling on the headset on the ear cups, you just adjust them here, like so you put them on, and then you pull up and down using your fingers here. That doesn't put the strain on this joint right here, and you'll probably have better lifespan. But if you have these, keep them. Unless you want to go to another company. If you don't have them and you want the best that Sony has to offer that you can use with their console, then go online and find these. I think these used to be $200 or $150, maybe $150. I can't remember. Were they $150 or were they $200 at retail when they first came out? Whatever it was, these are $160. They ain't worth that. These retail for $99, worth every penny. These guys, whatever you can get them for, go get them. Because the Obsoletes are the best, the Golds are after that, and the Platinums are a distant third. So that's my opinion and my experience after doing some pretty extensive testing on which of the Sony wireless headsets is best. So what do you think? Tell me what you think. People in my comments below in another video told me I should ask you to like and subscribe to my channel, and so I will, although it makes me uncomfortable. It always does. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you watching the videos. I appreciate you doing the things that you do. Ask me questions, leave me comments, hate, love, peace, war, all that stuff. We've got it all coming down the pipe here in 2017. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, this is the JTL, and I'm out.